Hello, and welcome to another episode of Wheel of Horror, the podcast where two best friends spin a wheel once a week. It chooses the horror film, and they discuss it. Today, we're talking about 2009's Dead Snow, which was directed by Tommy Wirkola. I'm your co-host, Alec.
I'm Erik.
And ironically enough, it just snowed a lot in Connecticut, and we're covering a movie called Dead Snow. Look at that.
Yeah, I think that sometimes the timing just works out perfectly. What can you do?
I almost just died in the snow. I was walking out there, and I almost just wiped out like 5 times. And I was really thinking, I was like, you can't walk.
Dangerous out there.
You really can't walk in the snow. Like, you can't. There's no running.
At this age, after 30, it's like you're not as, balanced.
No.
As you would be. Like, if you fall now, it's like, oh, shit, I could probably break my arm.
Oh, I thought about breaking my elbow, every time I almost slipped. So I was like, fuck this. But yeah, these guys, this movie, everybody's running in the snow. And we've been covering a lot of snow movies recently. I guess we did Frozen, and Jack Frost, and it's just all snow-related, kind of. You know?
Yeah, not as Christmassy, but a little Christmas here and there in Jack Frost. But, yeah, these are all snow.
Yeah, so this one is a foreign film from Norway. I thought it was from Germany, but it is from Norway.
Yeah, you think it would be from Germany with the Nazi stuff, but, yeah, man. Have you heard of this one before? Have you seen it?
Nah, I'd heard of it. I'd seen the poster and stuff, and I knew it was like a foreign film, and I think I'd seen it on Netflix a few times, but I just never clicked it. But you haven't seen it, right?
No, I haven't seen it. I've always wanted to see it, and mainly because during that time when this movie came out, what were we playing? A lot.
Yeah, Nazi zombies.
So it's like this movie came out at a really perfect time.
Yeah, all right, fuck it, let's talk about that first. Dude, so Call of Duty World at War, that's the first one that had Nazi zombies. That came out November 11th, 2008, okay? This movie came out
January 9th?
January 9th, 2009. So it came out 3 months later. Not even, 2 months later. So it's who invented this first?
Which is also exactly 15 years ago almost, which is even more painful to say out loud.
Yeah, 2009, yeah. But I'm just trying to think, because it's not they were making Nazi zombies and filming this at the same time. So it's not like one of them came out and then it wasn't like World at War came out and immediately they were like, we got to make a zombie Nazi movie. It was like they must have been doing it at the same time. So that's it's pretty weird.
And that November time when Call of Duty World at War came out, that was the first Nazi zombies, right?
Yeah.
That was the best one too, in my opinion, right?
That one was, yeah. I mean, because it was just so self-contained. It was easy to just pick up and go. They started adding new levels and new power-ups and all this new stuff, and it started getting a little crazy.
Yeah, that's when they started to lose me. But dude, I loved the first one, man. We played hours of that.
Dude, I played that with you. I remember when I lived in London, this kid had a PS3. And he was from South Africa, and that was the room that people went into, and all we did was play Nazi zombies. So it was universal.
He just went to get Nazi zombie school here,
Pretty much. We're just oh, dude, I'm skipping class, playing Nazi zombies. Fuck this. But yeah. So Nazi zombies was for Call of Duty was huge. That was a reason to buy the game. Not even just for the online, not just for the campaign. It was dude, they have Nazi zombies. So that was huge.
The game was good, and the multiplayer action game was fun too. I remember.
Everything about it was a fine game, but the Nazi zombies was a free thing that just came with it, and it was dude, this is worth getting the game, you know?
Yeah, and I remember the music, when you start a level or a new level would start, it'd be oh, it's you survived, but it's all right, we got 2 minutes to put the wood on the windows, get your guns, and get the hell back up into the attic.
And then once you get to level 30, it would just be the second the level started, the zombies the breakthrough, you're fuck! Oh yeah, and you get the laser gun, the ray gun or whatever. Yeah, that was a one hit. Oh my god, so fun. Anyways, all right, into this movie though. So I guess we'll never really know who created the idea of Nazi zombies, if it was COD or if it was this. But anyways, so this movie, so it was a Norwegian film, indie film, never got released in America in theaters, but it got released in Norway and I'm sure some other European countries. So it didn't do very well. It had a $2 million budget, and it made $2.2 million back. But then it came out in America on streaming and DVD and stuff. It got dubbed over into English. So, then it became a cult kind of classic. But yeah, so what did you think? I mean, what did you think of it first time?
I mean, pretty good. It wasn't amazing. Very bloody and gory and kind of gross scenes. But it was okay. I mean, it was very stereotypical horror movie. They go out to a cabin. They even make a joke at the beginning, like, oh, yeah, what other movies start out like this? They have to make the plug, like, oh, our cell phones aren't going to work out here, you know. So the typical horror movie motions, you know, the nerdy one, the funny one, the good-looking one. You know, the girls are all foreign and really attractive.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it was good. It was just a normal horror movie, though. It wasn't, like, as cool as I was hoping for. I wanted, like, more, like, crazy Nazi stuff.
Yeah, it felt like Shaun of the Dead meets like Nazi zombies mixed with like Evil Dead, kind of, because it's like, you know, a bunch of people go to a cabin. It's a little goofy. That was the thing. I didn't know this was a comedy at all. I thought this was a straight horror. So I was like kind of getting confused towards the end because it got really goofy, and I laughed a couple times, and I was like, oh, and then I looked it up. I was like, oh, it's a comedy, because it just started feeling more and more. Yeah. Yeah, it started feeling way more like Shaun of the Dead, and I was like, is this a parody? What is this? But I liked it more than I thought. It did start to drag a little bit. There were a couple things that I was like, what the fuck are they doing? But then it's a comedy, so I was like, okay, I guess it's a joke maybe that they're being so stupid. But yeah, good, you know, really cool, fun. It's a fun movie. This is a fun movie.
Yeah, it's in and out, an hour and a half, but it does take a while to get into the Nazi zombies. Like, there's a 45 minutes until the action really starts.
Well, that was the thing. The 45-minute mark, it reminded me so much of Nazi Zombies, the video game. So I was like, is this movie just like doing that basically? But then you're like, no, they're doing their own thing. But yeah, they're like blocking the windows. They've got the gun ready to go. Like, it's exactly like the video game. But yeah, it takes 45 minutes to get there. And it's weird, man. Like, I think I would have liked it more if they weren't Nazi zombies. If it was just like some creature like stalking the cabin or whatever. But they give a nice like breakdown of why these Nazis are out there and why they are the way they are. But it kind of reminded me of The Curse of Black Pearl a little bit.
100%, and I want to talk about that too. But like, first of all, the guy who just shows up and is like, "Can I come and have a cup of coffee?" It's like, sure, like, here you go, have it outside, buddy. And like,
have it outside.
Invite him in. This guy like pretty much puts his feet up on the table, smokes a cigarette, and it's like, who the hell are you, dude? Like, get the hell out of here. Is like probably what I would say.
And then he chokes the guy at the end.
Yeah, like, get the hell. They're all like cool still with him. He's like, these seems pretty cool. It's like, no, get him out of here.
Maybe that's like Norwegian culture to like, you know, let someone in. I don't know. Just really quick, in case people haven't seen this movie, basically, very quick overview. It's a bunch of kids are going on like a remote cabin up in the mountains of Norway. This girl Sarah has the house. Her boyfriend's there with all of their friends, and they're all just going up. They're horny teenagers, or they're all horny med students. So they go up there, and they're just having fun drinking. A guy shows up, the guy we just talked about. He explains that there were German soldiers, Nazis, that went up to Norway in World War II. They ransacked valuables from the Norwegians and then buried the treasures or whatever. And their corpses, and then the Norwegians fought back and killed most of them, but then some of them went out and froze in the mountains and then became cursed. I don't think they're zombies. I think they're just cursed. But anyways, and then after that, yeah, it's just fighting.
Yeah, well, they find this gold box in the floorboards where they kind of give the impression like once they do that, the Nazi zombies awake and they want their gold back, which they probably should have leaned into more.
Yeah, I agree.
It was very not communicated properly. Like, was that what made them attack them? But no, the Nazi zombies are already attacking Sarah at the start of the movie, right? Yeah. And then they attack the guy who came over for the cup of coffee.
Yeah, so I agree with you. It's like this house is owned by Sarah and her family, so we need to assume that they've come there multiple times before this one time. And yeah, so they have in the basement where they keep all of like the beer. It's like the refrigerator under the house, basically. They find a box of gold coins with and all of the stuff that the Nazis hid or whatever. But it's like, you're right. Like, I feel like they should have opened that and dropped one of them into the snow, and then the zombies woke up, or then the Nazis came back. Because you're right. They were already killing people before they even found the treasure. So you're like, wait, why didn't they kill Sarah and her family when they came up here before? Why are they killing this guy now? Like that weird guy that was in the woods that came into the cabin. Why'd they kill him after he told them?
He seems everything? Like he's been there for a while. And like, why now? Like,
yeah, it was. So that was the thing. I was kind of like, all right, it's a comedy, so I guess we'll overlook certain things.
Any sense? And you know, we don't have to get to the ending right away, but that ties into the ending. Like, he kind of goes back and buries the box, which symbolizes like the curse is gone. But then he remembers he picked the gold coin up and found it in his pocket again, and then Yeah, the curse isn't done yet. So it's like, is there a curse? I don't think so.
And that's the thing. I don't think they're zombies. I really don't. Because, they bite that guy, and he doesn't turn into a zombie for the rest of the movie. He gets bitten, and then he's in the sequel.
Totally.
So he definitely doesn't get...
Oh, he is? Oh, wow.
Yeah, he is. I looked him up. So, yeah, the sole survivor, who we think dies at the end because of, like, a blackout. But as we learned in Hatchet, that's not always the case.
No.
So this guy survives at the end or whatever, but he got bit twice on the arm and his dick. So, anyways, so I don't think they're zombies. I think they're cursed living dead or whatever. Anyways.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I mean, we got the group of med students. They're film nerds. They're hot people. They're just having fun, drinking, doing Norwegian stuff. And then after the guy comes and tells them the story of, the horrors of the mountains and all this stuff, the boyfriend of Sarah is kind of like, I don't know where she is. I'm starting to get nervous, and we don't have cell phone reception, so I'm going to take the snowmobile, which, again, is crazy. The only way you can get to this cabin is by a 45-minute walk or by a snowmobile ride. So the one guy does a snowmobile ride first, goes, turns the heat on and everything so no one's miserable when they get there, which you would be after a 45-minute hike through the fucking snow. But anyways... Yeah. So they get to the house. The guy's like, "Hey, I'm gonna take the snowmobile, go find this girl. But if I don't come back tomorrow, follow my tracks to the car in hopes that it doesn't snow tonight and in hopes that nothing happens." And they're all just like, "Okay, shit."
It's a terrible plan.
It really is. Honestly, they should have all probably just gone. Like they should have just left. Yeah, so then after that guy leaves, he finds the tent of that old man who came and warned them all about the creatures in the woods or whatever. And that guy got messed up by the Nazi zombies the night before. They just sneak into his tent, which, again, you'd think he knows these things are out there. Why doesn't he have a weapon? Why isn't his tent, like, fully locked? And, like, I don't know. Anyways.
Why is he sleeping out in the cold? Like, that sucks. Like, I don't care how many blankets you have. That sucks. That's like Everest stuff.
Yeah, so he's just sleeping in the middle of like a blizzard in Norway in a tent, and he knows there's zombies out there, and he's just like, I'm fine. He gets killed immediately, and then the guy finds his body, and then he falls into like a little cavern or whatever, which sucks because I think his head was bleeding. I think he like landed on his head, maybe, I don't know. But he finds like all this Nazi memorabilia underground. He finds a couple zombies. Or yeah, he finds Sarah's head. Yeah, which is weird. Why would they keep her head?
I don't know. Why? Do they collect heads? Is that what Nazis do?
There was no other heads. There was no other heads there. It was the only body part that was there was her head. So it's like
on the chance that he goes out and investigates, like it would be really cool if he stumbles upon this one head.
Right. That's what the zombies are thinking. So they kill his girlfriend in the opening shot of the movie, remove her head, put it in this cavern next to all of their memorabilia, and then this boyfriend finds it and he's like, Sarah? So he fights a couple Nazi zombies there, which I kind of liked. It felt real. Like, it felt like it wasn't like a triumph, like him just beating the shit out of the zombies. It felt like the zombies were giving him a run for his money, and then he fought back and actually won, but it was, like, close, you know?
Yeah. And they seem, like, super strong, obviously, and they're fast. I like that they made them fast zombies and not, like, slow-moving.
Yeah, they're fast. They're scary-looking, too.
Very, very good.
Their eyes are like black and stuff, and they the makeup they did a really good job with. I believed that these were, I don't know, scary zombies. I was afraid. So yeah, so that guy, he fights a bunch of them, but he gets like fucked up in the process.
Yeah, he's gonna bleed out by that neck wound for sure.
Oh my god, his neck.
Doesn't he like stitch it? I remember him. He stitched it right himself. No one's gonna do that themselves.
Well, he's a med student, don't forget. But he stitches his own huge neck wound with a fish hook and fishing wire, okay? And definitely not sanitized, and just does it himself. It is gushing blood, and somehow he does it. Somehow he magically has a gun on the snowmobile now. So that's kind of his little story. He discovers that his girlfriend's dead and they're zombies or whatever. The remaining people at the cabin or whatever... Okay, so there's the one scene, the sex scene, before we get to all this stuff.
That was ridiculous.
That was one of the weirdest sex scenes I've ever seen in anything.
No, that was ridiculous.
So you've got, like, the fat comedic guy, basically, and he's like, I'm going to go take a shit. I'll be back. And I did laugh pretty hard when he was just like, ah! And he just, like, walked out. Like, it was pretty good. So he goes and he takes a shit in the outhouse, and then the hottest girl there decides to sneak out and have sex with him before he can wipe anything. He's just like, what the fuck? What are you doing here? And she just immediately has sex with him on the toilet after he just shit.
Ew, that's so foul. Wasn't it like a reward for like finding the gold or like something? That's what it kind of felt like. I don't know. Like, it made no sense. I don't
know. No, I think she just thought he was funny. I don't know. Dude, she sucked his finger after he shit. Like, I was dying. But anyway, so for some reason they have sex. The guy goes back and he's like, dude, I'm the man. And he walks back in the house.
Doesn't he like burp and like, did you hang out with, what's her name, Chris or whatever?
Yeah, Chris, yeah.
Like, were you with Chris? And he just like burps like, yeah. It's like, oh God.
Dude, I don't know what that girl's deal was, but for some reason then she's like, I'm going to go to the bathroom too. And then the toilet just breaks and she falls into the shit, which no zombies did anything. So that just happened. You know, like the skinny girl's just sitting in the toilet and it just breaks and she falls into it. And then she climbs out and then gets killed by zombies. So it's just like, why did that happen to her?
There's no plot point at all. It's just something they decided to do.
And at this point, I still did not know this was a comedy at all.
No.
Why did she fall into... There's nothing comedic about this.
I mean, the way they talk, the dialogue at the beginning.
That's every horror movie is like a bunch of teens just saying stupid shit.
Yeah, I guess it definitely isn't like comedy horror. It's horror comedy.
I mean, I think up until pretty much the last like 30 minutes, it's pretty straight horror. And then it starts to get into comedy. But the toilet thing was the first thing. Now, if I watch it again, I'd be like, ha ha ha, it's comedy now.
Yeah, but you're like thinking of this like a normal horror movie. Like, oh my God, that's disgusting.
Well, I was like, did the zombies break the toilet? But I was like, no, because that guy was just in there. And then he left. And then she sat down immediately. And then she just falls. So
his fat ass probably loosened it a bit or something.
I have no idea. So anyway, so she's covered in shit. Then she gets killed, and that's what sets off all of the rest of the people being like, "Shit, there's somebody out there." So they get the gun. They find a shotgun. They barricade the doors. The one girl with the dreadlocks, who I was like, oh, I don't think you can have dreadlocks. But then I didn't realize it was Norwegian, and I was like, oh, she's like a Viking. Okay, never mind. It's cool. And all of the other kids or whatever, they all are freaking out because they just saw their friend's head. They see Chris's head being like held and put in front of the window or whatever. So they all freak out. They survive the night. They do like barely, because they're breaking in and they're using the gun and everything. And the next day they decide, okay, why don't you two girls go find the car or like go find help. We'll stay here in case the other people come back or whatever. So, yeah, then it kind of splits into two different movies. You've got the two girls going off. For some reason, they split up, though, which I thought was kind of weird. I don't remember why they did.
Yeah, why did they? I'm trying to remember. Like that. This is where the movie kind of like hits a lull, like you mentioned.
Well, it just doesn't really make sense because you're like, why would you split up? I mean, just all go together, I guess. I don't know.
Also, one thing I wanted to bring up before we keep going with the whole plot, back to that guy with the coffee who comes to the cabin and like warns him about the Nazi zombies, pretty much.
Yeah.
The story, if you look back at it, it's like 4 minutes long. And there was a point where I'm like, oh my God, like this is such a long scene. And there was a part where one of the characters was like yawning, and I laughed. I was like, that's how I feel right now watching this. So it was kind of like almost like dramatic irony or something. I don't know.
Well, I was noticing the guy smoking, and he would breathe in, but then nothing would come out.
Yeah.
It was weird.
And it wasn't like a really good rolled cigarette either at all. Like
that's what I was thinking. I was like, did he like pack it too tight where he can't even inhale? But it was like super weird because you'd see the cigarette like light up and get a little smaller, but then he would never blow any smoke out. So I was like, what is happening in this scene? But yeah, so it was long, and yeah, I mean, that is a true story, though. I mean, the Nazis did go into Norway, and they did use that, like, area or whatever for bases, and they would ransack people and stuff like that. So that, the Norwegians did fight back against the Nazis. That is all true. I don't know the specifics, but, so it's kind of cool that they, like, worked that lore into a horror film.
Well, they kicked them out, and then they froze in the mountains, is kind of what they played it out to be, and I guess they went in that cave or something and froze. Who knows?
Yeah, so some reason the treasure of the stolen Norwegian villagers is what cursed them to become zombies, which I don't know why.
I don't even know if that's the truth, but that's kind of what you're picking up from this, and you're like, it doesn't make sense. But anyway, back to, so they split up, where were we?
Yeah, the blonde girl just gets attacked by zombies, and she pulls their grenade, and it blows up. It kills her, and it kills a bunch of the zombies. And then the dreadlocks girl sees that, and then she goes off, and she fights a bunch of zombies, too. And she fights that one that's, like, in, like, a white lab coat kind of thing, but he has, like, a hood on. And that fight was pretty cool. They fight for a while. But, dude, the scene that I was, like, really uncomfortable watching was the avalanche scene, man. When she was like in the snow underground or whatever.
Isn't it scary?
I was getting so uncomfortable watching that. Like, usually, you know, if it's like, oh, like I hate spiders, but when I see it, I'm like, okay, I know what to expect or whatever. For some reason, when I was watching that scene, like, my body was getting physically uncomfortable. I was like, ooh, fuck.
Yeah, you have claustrophobia for sure. I have it. I definitely like we talked about this when we watched The Descent or whatever. Like, you couldn't pay me to go in a cave like that and all that kind of cave diving. No way. But an avalanche is so scary because they also mentioned this at the beginning of the film where you kind of get disoriented when you don't know which way is up. So in order to like figure out which way you got to climb, either down or up, you like drool or spit, and wherever the spit goes tells you, okay, that's down, so I got to go this way.
Yeah, so the audience knows that, but that girl wasn't in the car, so she doesn't. Yeah. Oh, was she? No, she wasn't. It was all the guys were alone. Yeah, so she didn't hear that. Oh, also, the way that she gets into that scenario, that was kind of dumb. So she like walks to the end of a cliff, and that one zombie's following her, and then she's like, "I guess I'm just gonna like break the ice so we both fall like off the cliff." It was really weird.
Well, the other girl just sacrificed herself with a grenade, so she's probably thinking kind of the same thing.
Well, she didn't know that, though. She didn't know that girl did that. Right. She was like, you know, she heard the explosion, but I mean, I don't know, because she just keeps kicking the ground or whatever until the entire mountain just collapses underneath her and the zombie, and then she is basically in an avalanche. She's compacted under snow. So it was just like, why'd you do that? Why don't you just try and whip his body off the cliff or something? I don't know. But, yeah, so she does escape or whatever, and while this is all happening, the two guys are just having their, like, final battle with all of the zombies, which was a pretty funny moment. So it's like the two guys, Martin and I can't remember the other guy, but they make a Molotov cocktail and they just throw it and they miss and it hits inside the house and lights the whole house on fire.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
Yeah, so it's just like, dude, what the fuck? But then after that, this is when I knew it was a comedy, is when he took out his phone. He's like, fucking Nokia, no, why don't we have any service? And I was just like, wait, what? I was like, they're trying their phones for the first time now, and I was like, and their house is on fire, and I was like, okay, this is a comedy. Yeah, this is too much.
Well, I mean, even 5 minutes later, when the guy who like stitched his neck and went through hell on earth to get back to the house and whatever, the zombies just like take him and like completely rip him apart limb from limb. Yep. It's like the most ridiculous like scene ever.
Yeah, because that guy got bit too. That guy who's on his way, he got bit and he never turns into a zombie. And that's kind of what I thought was going to happen. I thought he was going to get there with the shotgun or the gun and be like there to help them and then turn into a zombie. That's what I thought was going to happen. Nobody turns into a zombie in this movie. But anyway, so yeah, that guy, as Martin and the other guy are basically, they just have shotguns. They do like the biggest Evil Dead / Shaun of the Dead nod where they go into a house, they get a, you know, chainsaw, all these weapons, and they do the quick close-up shots just like Edgar Wright does in like all of his movies, just like do like very quick close-up, and then, you know. So you got the two guys, they're loaded up with guns and, you know, sledgehammers and scythes and all this stuff, and they just go out in the field and they fight a bunch of zombies, and they win.
Kind of like those Norwegians against the zombies back in the day.
Yeah, so they fight, and they probably kill like 15 of them, and then more of them come out. You see the friend who got his neck all fucked up, and he's got the machine gun on the snowmobile. He rides up, and he's like, Duck! And that's Duck, I guess.
I don't know.
And then he just like mows them down, which is pretty cool. And then the king zombie or whatever, I guess, he's just like all rise, and then like hundreds of them come out of the ground, and then they're fucked because they kill the friend who has the machine gun. They rip him limb from limb.
That was insane. I had to bring it up. I mean, comedy wise, like, come on, like that was ridiculous.
They take out a knife. Each of them take out a knife, and they all stab one of his limbs and then rip him apart. It was pretty graphic. The part that I did laugh at though is when they cut off one of their heads and it just like flies into like a tree or something. Like, I don't know. That made me laugh. But yeah, so then, you know, there's probably like 100 or whatever zombies, and they're chasing the two last guys. One of the guys, though, got bit, so he cuts his own arm off because he thinks they're zombies. And this is what I knew as a comedy. He's like, I cut off my arm, like, I won't get infected now. And then immediately a zombie pops out of the ground and bites his dick.
I know, dude.
He's like, well, he can't cut off his dick, I guess.
Yeah, he's like, oh, that's it. That's all she wrote.
Well, because he's about to do it. He reached for the chainsaw, and his friend goes like, no. And he's just like, all right. Yeah, I can't do this. And then, so then they start running. So he's got one arm. which he cauterizes himself on a flame, which looked really painful. So then they just run. The other friend gets killed. He gets stuck in a tree, and then they just fuck him up. And the other one, and then, Martin, the last guy, he basically realizes, as you mentioned earlier, he's like, oh, they're coming after their treasure. So if I can show them their treasure, they'll leave me alone. So he runs back to the burnt down house, finds the box of treasure, shows it to the zombies, and they're all like, okay, you're fine. You're good. Which, okay, sure.
Nazis love treasure. They love treasure.
Yeah, but it's bullshit, dude, because Sarah didn't do anything. She didn't even know anything. She's just out in the woods and she gets killed. And then that old guy didn't know that they had the treasure and he gets killed. And then this guy finds the treasure and gives it back to them and they don't kill him.
Maybe it's not like the finding thing. Maybe it's just like, hey, look what I got. And they're like, oh, okay. All right, you can live.
Ugh, whatever. That was dumb. So
stupid.
So he runs away after doing that, somehow gets to the car, somehow has the keys on him, which I don't know why he would have the car keys on him, but he does. And you think he's going to get away. And then, of course, a single gold coin falls on the car and falls out of his pocket into the car.
But you've seen him pick up earlier take without talking with everyone else.
Yeah, he's going to try and make money off of it. And then immediately the final, or the big boss Nazi guy, the colonel or whatever, is right there and he smashes the window and that's how it ends. So,
oh, wow. Get down with the sickness. That's like pretty much what I was expecting.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I didn't hate it. I wasn't like immediately like, oh, I want to watch the sequel now. This is so good. But
C+.
I mean, hey, listen, for a non-American movie, for a foreign film, for a $2 million budget.
For a $2 million budget, too. Definitely. Hell yeah.
I wish that I saw this, though, when it came out, because I think I would have liked it a lot more, because I would have been caught up in the zombie Nazi craze. You know, Walking Dead had just kind of become really popular. Like,
no, Walking Dead wasn't out until 2011. What? A couple more years until Walking Dead.
Really?
Yeah, Walking Dead wasn't out yet.
Well, maybe if you're an OG like me, reading it. No, it came out in 2003, the comic, but the Let me see. Hold on. Was it really 2000? I thought it was like 2010.
I would say 2011 or 12.
2010.
What?
October 31st, 2010.
No way. Walking Dead,
So
the first season?
I just looked it up.
Baloney. I don't believe it.
October 31st, 2010, and it ended December 5th, 2010, the first season.
Oh, man, I'm mixed up.
So, yeah, so like literally 2008, 9, and 10, it was just like this movie, The Walking Dead, Nazi zombies, like, you know, Zombieland came out in 2009. Like, there's a lot of zombie shit going on.
Yeah, there's a lot of zombies, for sure.
Yeah, so I mean, I feel like if I saw this movie back then, I would have been like, oh, okay, I get it. But now, you know, zombies aren't as popular anymore, and, you know, they go in waves. It's like superheroes, pirates, vampires, zombies. They all go in waves, you know, westerns. But yeah, so seeing it now for the first time, definitely enjoyed it more than I thought I would. It's not amazing, but I think people would enjoy it if they saw it.
Yeah, what you're saying is like 19-year-old Alec would probably like this more than 33-year-old Alec. Yeah.
Absolutely. So what this guy did, though, the director, he's the writer and director of this movie, he made another movie, which I didn't see, and I kind of forgot that it came out, but it has your boy Jeremy Renner in it.
Yeah, he's my boy. I'll give him that.
He grew up right here. Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters. Remember that movie?
Oh, man. Yeah, I remember that being promoted.
Yeah, it's like, it didn't do very well. I mean, it actually made a lot of money, but the reviews weren't that great. But yeah, it was like, it had a lot of the cast from this movie. It was the writer and director of Dead Snow. He did Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunter, but that was like an American-produced film, so much bigger budget, $50 million, you know. So he's done some movies. He's doing a new movie now called Spermageddon, which...
Sperm whales or like sperm?
No, it's about sperm. Teenage couples having sex for the first time. Simon and his friend Seaman on a quest for the egg.
His friend Seaman.
The film is in the veins of Sausage Fest meets Lord of the Rings. Okay. You know what?
What? Those two movies.
It's about sperm finding an egg, so they're like going on a journey. That's kind of funny.
Cartoon?
Yeah, it's animated, yeah.
So, yeah, you ever see Sausage Party?
Yeah.
Yeah, that movie's crazy.
But yeah, imagine Sausage Party, but like Lord of the Rings.
I can't even
with
fathom
sperm.
What that combined with sperm.
Yeah, I don't know.
Sense.
It's coming out this year, so
like, how do you pitch that? It's like, all right, we're making a movie. Think Lord of the Rings and Sausage Party. I don't even know where. No, it'd be
like, think like, you know, sperm has to find the egg, right? But they face a lot of challenges along the way. So what if we do that?
So it's like a buddy movie.
Yeah, it's a comedy.
Like road trip.
Basically, vagina trip. So anyways, so Dead Snow, gory, kind of funny, honestly. And that's the thing. I mean, comedy doesn't translate very well in different languages and different countries and stuff like that. But this one had me laughing a couple times.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's so much like stuff that went over our heads that we like don't know is funny or not because we're not, Norwegian. So
yeah. Oh, one thing that I looked up has pretty much nothing to do with this movie, but they kept saying okay to each other. They just being like, okay, okay, okay. And I was like, where the fuck did that come from? Like, where did that come from? Okay. And why is that said in America? Why is that said in Norway? Why is it said like everywhere? Like, okay. Like everybody knows what okay means or whatever. So I looked it up.
The sign language it came from originally?
Dude, it's from like a Boston newspaper from like 1890. And it was like slang for like all correct, but it was spelled wrong. Like OLLKORRCK. Like all correct. And it's almost like LOL. So it's like okay is like an abbreviated version of all correct, but spelled wrong. And that's how it just took off. So, and okay, like okay, OKAEAY or whatever, that is after the two letters being put together is okay.
What about okie dokie artichoke?
Yeah, obviously that came later. But, it's just weird because there's two letters. It's just very strange. And it's like every country you could say okay. And it's like, okay, this means a positive thing or yes. It's just weird. So I looked it up in this movie because I was just like, why is this not? I don't know. So anyways, if you look up the meaning of okay, it's from all correct. And it's a misspelling from a Boston newspaper article from the 1800s. And it spread like it was like the first viral abbreviation. So LOL, NBD, all that shit. This is the first okay.
Huh. That and the more you know. This is what the podcast brings to you people. This is something you probably didn't know. Thank you, Alec.
I didn't know until I looked it up. So anyways, all right, Erik. Why don't you spin the wheel?
All right, ready, spinning. "30 Days of Night."
Great.
Vampires. You just mentioned vampires, dude. Hell yeah.
I know. And I just watched True Detective Season 4 today. So that's all about Alaska, too. So I'm in an Alaska mood.
Good? Was it good, True Detective? You like it so far?
The first episode is good, at least. But
cool.
Anyways. All right. Well, everybody, thank you very much for listening into our discussion on Dead Snow. And we'll see you all next week with 30 Days of Night.
Woo!